Hello friends! Today I'm going to be sharing with you some stories. I was looking on YouTube a few days ago for this specific type of story and I've realised that there isn't quite as many, so today I will be sharing with you 4 terrible commission experiences that I've had in my many years of being an artist online. I'm going to be sharing 4 stories today, some of them that are commissions, some of them that were requests, but they were equally as weird. So, story number 1. This story takes place where all terrible commission experiences start on the wonderful world of DeviantArt. As a bit of backstory, I used to do free requests just because I had a lot of time to draw and I wanted to draw, and of course offering free art garners a lot of attention on DeviantArt, and I would say if you watch me I will give you a free piece of art just because I was super generous like that. But one day I think I'd watched like Alvin and the Chipmunks and I'd uploaded a piece of fan art just unrelated, and somehow that garnered the attention of so many fans of the franchise. I think it started off with one person that said, "Will you draw my chipmunk character?" So I was like, yeah, sure, watch me, you get a piece of free art. So I drew this person's request for their original character, saying this is a request, and of course that garnered more chipmunk fans coming up to me and saying, "Will you draw my OC?" And the process repeated and repeated until I had nothing but Alvin and the Chipmunks fans coming up to me and saying, "Will you draw my OC?" So my page became the mecca for Alvin and the Chipmunks fans coming and getting free art of their OC. My DeviantArt is still public, it's still online, and it's full of Alvin and the Chipmunks art, and I don't even like it. I just got so many commissions and so many requests from Alvin and the Chipmunks fans. So anyway, so this story isn't exactly a commission story, it's the story of a request that I got. So one day someone requested me, "Hey, will you draw my chipmunk OC with my friend's chipmunk OC?" One was a girl, one was a boy, so I drew them together, not in a particularly romantic way. I think one of them had the arm over the other. I think I'll find the piece. Here it is. This is the piece, if I find it. I upload it. The artist that requested it is very happy. Some time passes and somebody appears out of the blue and sends me a note and demands that I take the piece down. So I'm a bit confused and I ask, like, what is the issue? And apparently the female character that I drew has a boyfriend, so they demanded that I take the piece down of their character with another chipmunk. Now, I didn't draw them in a particularly romantic way, but in the canon of their story, it had a different boyfriend. So they were commenting and sending me notes saying, "You need to take this down, like this character is not this character's girlfriend." And it was absolutely crazy to me because I'd spent all this time out of the goodness of my heart to do a request for someone, and someone else just comes along and says, "No, you can't draw that." To be fair, that is their character, but that wasn't causing any harm. Needless to say, I didn't take the picture down. I think that we came to a compromise, and I think I had to write in the description, "This character has a boyfriend." But it just was crazy, like that's how defensive people get over their characters, that I had to take a piece down because it was pictured with a different character. And it was just absolutely crazy to me, like why someone would get so triggered about it. Story number 2. Sticking with the Alvin and the Chipmunks theme and staying on DeviantArt, there was a particular artist who requested art from me quite a lot. Like, they watched me and requested pieces from me, then would request another and another, like one after the other. And I was just like, "Slow down, buddy, give somebody else a chance to get a free piece." He didn't even ask for pieces of his like own characters. They were like canonical character, but like different pairings and stuff. So anyway, I sort of became quite friendly with this person because they would always message me and I would just always message them back. It was kind of like a one-sided friendship, like they just wanted to get art from me, but I sort of talked along with them anyway. At one point, he just started requesting, let's say, not safe for work images, There was nothing on my gallery that suggested that I would be okay with doing not safe for work kind of pornographic-y things, and I was kind of weirded out by it. Like, he didn't ask, are you okay with drawing, that kind of thing, and there was nothing on my gallery that suggested that I would be okay with it. And they were of like children's film characters, so I was a bit like, eh. But because I can't say no to people, I did every single one. At the point where I started to tell him, like, I can't do requests anymore, I'm too busy with college work and whatever, I'm gonna have to start asking me for payment for these requests. This is when I realised that he must be quite young, because he told me that his mother had control of his PayPal details and his bank details, and he couldn't order commissions online. This kid was very clever, and he figured out a way of getting commissions online without having to use like money over the internet. The way that he did it was he would buy Steam money with his physical cash, and then buy games for me and send them to me on Steam. Thinking back on it now, it seems quite crazy that I was accepting Steam games as payment, but at the time it just worked. I wasn't even playing these games, I had no time to play any game that he was sending me, but I was just accepting it because he so desperately wanted to buy commissions from me. As they always do, Steam sale rolls around and he gets a game that's on my wish list. I think it was something like reduced from £40 to £10. So he buys the game for me for £10 and sends it to me, and then I do a commission for him that's worth £10. And some time passes and the Steam sale finishes. The game that he bought me goes back up to £40. He appears in my notes on DeviantArt and says, I'm ready for my next commission. I'm like, okay, well, I might need to wait a bit because I haven't got anything left in my my Steam wishlist because you bought me everything. And he says, well, you still owe me 3 more commissions. Yeah, the game that I bought you is worth £40 now. And I'm trying to figure out what he means, and I eventually get that he's trying to tell me that he's valuing how many commissions I do on the value of how much the game is worth. I don't understand his logic, but because he paid £10 for a game, because he spent £10, I was gonna draw him something for £10. My logic isn't flawed, right? But this guy demanded that I still owed him 3 more commissions, and I owed him £40 of commissions even though he only spent £10. Obviously, if he bought the game for full price for £40, I would have drawn him for £10 commissions or something worth £40. Eventually he understood what was happening and he was like, oh, okay, and just moved on. But I just thought that was really weird. Story number 3. I started getting less and less commissions on DeviantArt because it was all kids that didn't have any money that were trying to commission me. So I decided to expand my audience and make a fur affinity account. Drawing furries is something that comes quite naturally to me. I don't do it very often, but I did it a lot when I was a kid. So whenever I sit down to draw a furry, it just happened, and I really enjoy drawing furries. I got a message from someone who wanted a commission. They were going to be attending their first furry con with their boyfriend. So they wanted me to draw their 2 personas in front of a convention hall with a big banner that says welcome to FurryCon or whatever. 2 characters with a full detailed background characters and all this. And for this piece I charged £30. And thinking about it now, that was quite a big piece and I really undersold myself, but I just really desperately wanted to do as many commissions as I could and just sell myself for as cheap as possible so that more people would come to me. So I do the commission to the best of my ability, everything's fine. I regularly check back with the artists that commissioned me. When I started to reach the finishing point of the commission, this is when things start to get a little bit weird and some red flags pop up until the point where I'm starting to finish the picture. This artist has been very chatty, very complimentary on the piece and would talk to me about all these things. And then as I started to finish up, his answers were quite cold and just short, really short, cold answers like yes, no, okay. So before I upload the full version, I asked for payment, and as you remember, I asked for £30. he sent me $30. Now, that doesn't sound bad, but this was a few years ago when the pound was worth quite a little bit more than the dollar. So instead of receiving £30, I received about £25. I know that's just nitpicky, but to me I was just a bit like, okay, I'm already underselling myself, but you underpaid me. And I just didn't say anything. I didn't want to cause any more fuss because he was already being like awkward and making the conversations awkward, so I just let it slide. So I upload the full piece and I get a private message saying thanks. Just thanks. He doesn't like the piece, he doesn't favourite the piece, he doesn't comment, he doesn't do anything, he doesn't tell me how good it looks or like does anything, he just disappears. And it was really kind of heartbreaking to me. Like, I know I got paid and everything, but it was really weird for him to not tell me that he liked it and not tell me that, you know, it's just what he wanted or anything. And I felt really bad because I was like, what if he hates it? He's bought something that he hates. I just felt really terrible. I was pretty pleased with the piece, to be honest. I was pretty proud of it. If I can find it again, here it is. Here's the piece. And I know there are a few things wrong with it, but it was a few years ago. At the time, I thought it was amazing and really good, but obviously there was something wrong with it that he just didn't want to tell me how much he liked it. It was just thanks. I never heard from this person again, and I don't think it was worth chasing it up. The transaction was over. It was just a very weird situation. So my fourth and final story is every commissioning artist's worst nightmare, the one that never paid. I was around 17 years old and just starting to put myself out there and establish myself as an artist. I started up my Facebook page, and because I was at college studying art, I had a lot of time just to focus on drawing and trying to improve myself and learn new things. And one day I discovered how to make sort of stylized portraits from photographs, and I practiced for a few weeks until I was really confident with doing it. I was like, yeah, I can offer this as a commission option. I was trying to value myself a little bit more as well as an artist and value my time and what I can produce. I started to offer these stylized painty portraits for £20. It was the most expensive thing that I had to offer at £20. Because up until then I was just drawing like cel-shaded cartoony things for like £5 or £10. I put up a few examples and say, hey, does anyone want a stylized portrait for £20? My uncle showed a work friend of his and then sent me a message saying that his friend is really interested in getting a piece of work done. So he sent me this one picture of him fishing, and he's like holding up a fish that he's caught. So I get to work and start painting on Photoshop, and it takes a few hours or whatever, however long I spent on these things, and I sent him what I'd done, and he was like, that's great, but do you think you can like lighten up the area around my eyes a bit or something? So I was like, yeah, that's fine. I take it back to Photoshop, I fix it up, make it a bit more smoother, make it a bit lighter, and I send it back again. He's like, could you make me look a bit younger? And I'm like, okay, and I, you know, take it back to Photoshop, paint over the wrinkles and things until it looks nothing like him, send it back, and he has another problem with it. I can't even remember half the things he told me, but they were like ridiculous things like, can you make me like look more handsome or whatever. So I take it back to Photoshop, fix it. This happens at least like 15 times. I had like 15 different versions of this picture where everything's like something was a little bit different on every single one. This situation went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I had like college work to do and all these things going on, and he was still asking like, oh, can you do this, can you do this? In the end, I just had to tell him, I can't do this. I can't fix it to a point where you will take it and you will like it. So I just said, I can't do this. This is no. To a grown adult with a full-time job, and you ask for a piece of art to be done for you, £20 is nothing. And to me, £20 was a lot of money. I was in college and I, you know, wanted to do 17-year-old things. After all this situation, I was so heartbroken and my confidence had been really shook, because to be told I'm not good enough, it's not good enough again and again and again, it was just so frustrating and so stressful. I have no doubt that this person was never going to pay me. He was just seeing how far he could string it out, and it was really, really painful and really frustrating. As I remembered this, I was starting to think maybe I just wasn't good enough. Like maybe it just wasn't to a standard where he felt like he would pay me. But if you are commissioning an artist, it doesn't take 5 minutes to open their portfolio, open their gallery and see what they can do, see what they are capable of. If he had taken a look at what I'd done, he would see that I can't make like hyper realistic and just flawless things in a few hours for £20. So that was my 4 terrible commission stories. I'm sure I could think of more, but these are the ones that sort of jumped to my head. Of course, not all commission experiences are bad. Like 90% of all commissions I take on have been perfect and flawless, and I got paid every time. And so I guess the lessons that I have learned from these experiences: make sure you're always drawing someone's characters, not someone else's characters. Don't use Steam games as currency. Make sure your commissioner is always happy with what you're doing, and make sure they tell you if something's bothering them. And also, always make sure you get an upfront payment before you finish everything. To commissioners, there is advice to be learned from these. Don't ask someone to draw someone else's character without permission. Try to be in a situation where you can actually pay for commissions before you start commissioning people. Always let your artist know if you like the piece that they've done. Don't leave them hanging. Let them know that they've done a good job and you're happy with it. And of course, always pay your artist. And of course, if you think I was in the wrong for any of these situations, please let me know. And if you have any bad commission experiences that you want to share, please tell me, because I'd love to hear them and I would love to know that I'm not alone. And of course, if you're not like any of the people I just described and you would like to commission me, and you will pay me and you will tell me that you like it, my information is in the description box if you want to get in touch with me to order a commission. So that's it for today. If you can think of anything else that you would like to see me do, leave a comment. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!